The communication of ideas is one of the biggest problems found in both business and teaching. It requires many forms to convey orders and messages, posters and announcements to promote events, agendas to organize meetings, and duplicated materials to help teachers and pupils. How are all of these pieces reproduced? Many different machines have been developed to make written communication as easy, fast, and inexpensive as possible. An identical copy made on a photocopy machine eliminates errors in retyping and saves time when only one or a few copies are needed. When thousands of copies are wanted, the offset duplicator can print them. A stencil duplicator, or mimeograph, is a machine generally used for 50 to 1,000 copies. A spirit or fluid duplicator can quickly produce copies in one or more colors. This is sometimes called a direct copy process and is used for runs of less than 400 copies. The term Ditto is also commonly used because one company was originally prominent in the field. However, today a number of companies are making spirit duplicators, so there is a choice of several machines, but they all use the same basic principle. This principle is a dye transfer process. A special carbon sheet coated with an aniline dye, usually purple in color, is placed in contact with another special sheet called a master. When you type, write, or draw on the master, some of the carbon is deposited on the back of it. When this master is run through a spirit duplicating machine, it transfers the carbon to the paper, which is moistened with a special fluid. Each sheet removes a small amount of the dye, eventually using all of it, thus limiting the number of copies that can be made. In the office or school, a master set can be made by placing the special carbon against the back of a coated paper. Or commercially made master sets may be purchased. These have a removable protective sheet or slip sheet between the master and the carbon. When you are ready to type your copy, the first step is to clean the typewriter keys. Remove the slip sheet from the master set. Insert the open or unfastened end of the master set into the typewriter. The open end makes correcting easier. Be sure it's in straight. Using a normal typing stroke, copy your work as accurately as possible. If you do make an error, you'll find it easy to make corrections. Turn up the platen and pull the master sheet towards you. Now you can scrape it with a correction blade that removes most of the carbon. Then coat the paper with wax from a correction pencil. Pick up odd pieces of dye with some correction putty. Insert a new piece of carbon behind the error and type the correction in your normal manner. Remove the extra carbon before continuing to type. Another way to make corrections is to coat the error with a liquid called snowpake. Insert a small piece of fresh carbon before retyping. Or you can also use correction tape to cover the error. Again, insert fresh carbon before retyping. Use the paper release lever to remove the master set from the typewriter. If you want to add handwork, place it on your desk or any hard surface. Rules and drawings can be made with a ballpoint pen using a firm, even pressure. Here is a good place to use other colors of carbon. These will make your work more attractive. However, color carbons will usually not produce as many copies as the standard purple. A lettering guide will help make your work look professional. Inspect your finished master. If there is anything you wish to omit, you can cover it with scotch tape. Or you can simply cut it out with a razor blade. The hole in the master will not affect your copies. If you wish to add something in its place, you can type an insert to fit the hole and patch it with scotch tape. Patching does not mar the master. Only the actual carbon impression will show on your finished copies. Now put the slip sheet back in to protect the master until you are ready to run it. You will find that different machines have controls in different places. However, the same basic controls are on all machines. There is a fluid tank, a wick pressure lever which controls the amount of fluid reaching the paper, a clamp to hold the master, a counter, a roller pressure adjustment that keeps the master sheet tight against the paper as it goes through the machine, and a motor switch or hand crank. There is a feeding mechanism and a receiving tray for finished copies. To run off copies, first turn on the fluid. This moistens the wick inside the machine. Move the wick pressure to on. Engage the roller pressure. Lift the paper feed roll bar. Move the paper guide rail to match the width of your paper. Move the feed roll up to the guide rail. Paper comes in several weights, sizes, and colors, which can lend variety to your work. Always use a good grade of spirit duplicating paper. Place enough paper for your job on the feed table, sliding it forward as far as possible. Move the other guide rail and feed roll into place. Adjust the backstop on the receiving tray for the length of paper being used. Run a couple of blank sheets through to see if they feed properly and get the right amount of fluid. They should come out slightly damp. Now remove the carbon sheet, open the clamp, and place your master on the cylinder. Run a couple of copies and examine them closely. Copy should be properly centered vertically and horizontally. If it isn't, make adjustments. There is a control for vertical adjustment. Horizontal adjustment is made by moving the paper. Also check for legibility. You may want to adjust the amount of fluid or pressure, or refill the fluid tank. If the paper wrinkles, straighten it in the feed tray. If wrinkles appear on the master, straighten it. When you're ready to begin, set the counter to 0 and start the machine. When the counter indicates that you have enough copies, stop the machine and remove your master. If you want to keep the master, protect it by putting 2 sheets of blank paper against the carbon side. Remove the remaining paper and put it away. If you'll replace it in the original wrapper, it will be easy to identify. To prepare your machine for idle periods, turn off the wick pressure, turn off the fluid, and release the roller pressure. Copies will be easier to handle if you grasp them firmly, bend and straighten them, and jog them on a table. Do this once or twice for a neat pile of papers. Spirit duplication will produce many short-run jobs in an easy, inexpensive manner if these steps are followed. Clean the typewriter keys. Type the master with normal touch and speed. Make corrections properly with a correction blade, wax pencil, or tape. Prepare the duplicator according to the manufacturer's instructions. Put the master on the cylinder, carbon side up, evenly, so that no wrinkles appear. Check the first few copies for alignment and legibility. Turn the controls off and release all mechanisms when leaving the machine. Protect your masters if you want to use them again. Everyone can operate a Spirit duplicator. Your imagination and ability can find many ways to use it in communicating your ideas.